Academically speaking, we have nothing now as a guideline for those people who have reached retirement age, men, and have been married to somebody, remarried to somebody 15 or 20 years younger, who's all of a sudden in a power-based position. Understand that. He's saying, I'm going back and I'm going to retire in Vermont. Are you coming? And what we're finding, women are saying, no, you go ahead and take the kids. You understand it's a new phenomenon. We don't know what to do with that. There's no research on it. Therapists and counselor clients don't know how to handle it. The other phenomenon, which is very interesting, and both of these pertain to dogs, and that is the female who is in her late 30s, early 40s, who says to husband, I've had enough. You know, I'm going to send you child support payments. I'll see the kids every other weekend, and I'll take them every other summer. Goodbye. Okay? And here you have a man who's in his middle 30s or late 30s, early 40s, single parent. What's he supposed to do when the kid gets mumps? He's got a real bad case of strep throat. And call the tank commander, say, you got to release Sergeant so-and-so to come to school to get his kid. Okay, you're really talking about major change in a very traditional, regimented kind of an organization. At this time, we quite frankly don't know what to do with all of that.
Family systems. Here, the impact of the family and the relationships in the family are discussed. What the hierarchical line is and how important it is will be discussed.
This leads into looking at the family because we've got two adults, each of whom are in their own developmental stages with their own needs, etc. And we have kids who are going through developmental stages, and all of this has to come together into what we call a family. Now I want to revert back to what I talked about briefly yesterday, and that was family systems. A way of looking at the family as a series of interlocking elements. In the family we have, in the family systems field, we talk about boundaries. Now boundaries are important in families. Boundaries are the way we differentiate between me and you, or between us and them. We each have our own space around us, and that space is ego, and it's personality, and it's who we are. Let me just give you an example. Let me start with Mary. Let's say Mary is a young woman who's grown up and has a fairly good sense of who she is. So we say she has a boundary. She has a sense of personality, of ego, of this is who I am. She's kind of separated from her family, from her parents. She knows that she's not the same person that her mother is or her father is, that she has her own set of values, her own goals, her own direction. She's got a nice boundary. It's permeable, which means it can take input and outgo. She can take information in, learn about herself, and she can give feedback to others and learn about them. And she meets and marries John. And John has a boundary. Now they form a relationship that's called a marital subsystem. In other words, They're a system, but within that system you have Mary is a subsystem, John is a subsystem, and there's a marital subsystem or relationship. So we have self and we have a relationship. Now there's two dangers. One danger is what we call an enmeshed relationship. An enmeshed relationship is where John and Mary's relationship so overlaps. Two dangers. One danger is what we call an enmeshed relationship. An enmeshed relationship is where John and Mary's relationship so overlaps each other that they lose sense of who they are. In other words, you have two people almost living one life. They do everything together, they have all the same views, they vote the same way, everything is the same. They never do anything separately. They see themselves as one person. The danger is there's not a lot of room in that kind of relationship for kids. Kids spend a whole lot of their life trying to break into that kind of an enmeshed relationship. They feel always on the outside. So I hate those marriage ceremonies where they have he's got a candle and she's got a candle and they come together and they put one candle and they blow out their own candles and they only have one between them. That sense of oneness, while it may be very comforting in initial stages of marriage, begins to choke and constrain growth. And it's very, very difficult when a child comes along. Now, the other danger is what we call a disengaged relationship with rigid boundaries. Let's say there are real rigid boundaries here, and they never really meet. We've got a phenomenon that is an East Coast, West Coast marriage. A marriage is where she lives on the West Coast, he lives on the East Coast, and they meet once a month in Chicago, and they call it a marriage, right? They don't fight. They are so separate that they're only a marriage in name, that there really isn't a lot of shared other than a weekend occasionally, or they take vacations together, but they live totally separate lives. It's obvious what this does to kids because they really don't have a sense of belonging or a sense of being in a family. Once you have a child come along, let's say child number 1, and let's make this a son, comes along and he begins to develop. And you have not only the marital relationship, but now you have a family relationship here. You also have a mother-son relationship and a father-son relationship. So you have all of these kind of subsystems that work within the total system, relationships within the system. As long as there's no jealousy, everybody has fairly good sense of who they are. There's no problem with that. Dad doesn't resent when mom and son go to the scouting meeting or go someplace. Mom doesn't resent that father and son go to the gym and do whatever. And son is fine when mom and dad leave for the weekend or whatever. Okay? That's a nice balanced relationship. Now, let's say we have child number 2, and that's a daughter. Okay, now this gets even more complex because the family relationship gets bigger. And you have mother-daughter, father-daughter, and you have a sibling relationship. So all of these relationships are working in balance, right? As long as you have mom and dad in the hierarchy, and this is a line that goes through here, and it's called a hierarchy line, as long as that is clear, as long as you know who's in charge. Mom and dad are in charge, and these are the kids. We have relationships with you, we do things with you, etc. But here's the two folks in charge. Makes the world safe, makes the world secure. Kids know that if they get too far out of bounds, mom and dad are going to pull their reins and bring them back in. That's a safe place for a kid to be. What isn't safe is when the kid gets in control. And it's not unusual for that to happen. For a child to get above this hierarchical line, to get in control. I'll tell you an example. I had a family in therapy. Came in, they had a 3-year-old daughter. They had a son that was a little bit older. I think he was 8 or 9, but they had a 3-year-old. And the mother said, this child's impossible. She's ruining the whole family. We don't know what to do with her. Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. So, well, describe to me how she gets out of control. What does that look like? She said, well, let me give you an example. She said, last week, Susie wanted pizza for dinner. And we all like pizza, so she said, I went out and got pizza, and we got ready to sit down. And Susie says, I changed my mind. I don't want pizza. I want hamburgers. And the mother said, so I had to go back out. Now there's a 3-year-old in control of a family. Do you know how scary it was for that child, that 3-year-old, who in her mind perceived that she was in charge of that family? She had to decide what they were having for dinner, when they could go to bed, where they were going to go. This child had all of these adults and older kids that she had to make decisions for in her mind. Now, let me give you another example. It happens with military families. Mom and Dad have a real good relationship, and Dad is called off into the service, into duty, whatever that is. He's going to be gone. Somebody said I was a single parent for a while. Dad leaves, what does he say? What does he say to his son? Son, you're in charge while I'm gone. I want you to take care of your mom and sister. Right? In all good intentions, what happens? Son moves right up here. He moves into Dad's shoes, so to speak. He and Mom are now in charge of the family. When Dad comes back, he's very effectively removed himself, right? Because Son is now in charge. Now we've got the battle royal going. Son's in charge. Dad comes in, is threatening. What you've got, as soon as you get this child up here, you've got a child who is out of control. Thinks he's in control, but he's scared to death. Children absorb those messages very, very strongly. My gosh, I've got to take care of my mom and sister. I'm in charge. Puts a tremendous burden on kids. So what we recommend for military families is that you call the family together, and Dad says something like this: I'm going to be gone. I want you to take care of each other. You're my family. I want you to be here safe and sound when I come home. Mom is still in charge, and the rules remain. But I want you to take care of each other. It's a very different message. One of the things that happens that throws families into disbalance is that the oldest child gets up above this hierarchical line. Regardless of the developmental stages we're in, what kind of things are going on with adult, we've got to maintain that marital relationship in order to provide a safe world for our kids. Now, if it's a single parent, it's harder. But the single parent has got to maintain that sense of, I am the adult. You may be 14 years old or 15 years old or however old the child is, but you're the child, I'm the adult, I'm in charge here. Kids will fight you. If it's a safe environment, they will fight you. If it's not safe, they'll fight outside of the home. But in that fighting, they're trying to ensure that their world is still safe and secure. So one of the things that we feel strongly about is supporting the parents. We recommend to school people, and I work in LA where we work with gangs a lot. We work a lot with parents who don't speak English. Used to make the mistake of letting the kids come in and translate. Bad mistake. What does that do? Puts the kid up there in the hierarchy. What we do now is we say we want a translator. We're going to meet with your parents, and you, to the child, are not to speak English in that conference. This conference is for the responsible adults to get together, and we're going to talk about what's best for you, the child. And since your parents don't speak English, we're going to hold the conference in your native language, be it Spanish, Mandarin Chinese, whatever that language is. And to the child, don't speak to me in English when your parents are here. That's disrespectful. We will speak in their language. And we say to the parents, these are your kids, we're here to support you. What can we do to help you? Okay. Once the kids get the sense of that, puts them right down, back in that hierarchy where they need to be in order to feel safe and secure, puts the adults in charge. The adults don't have to speak English to be in charge of that family. They are in charge of that family. What we don't want to do as school people is undermine that. Okay. Think about that in terms of your relationships at home. Even though you may think that the child has certain rights or the child has a legitimate view, as soon as you take the child's side against your mate, you have sabotaged that parental subsystem there. Okay, so somebody yesterday was talking about in discipline, you know, we get together and we go in as a solid front. It's a real good idea. Child needs to feel listened to, but they also need to feel safe and secure. And the way they feel safe and secure is if there's adults in charge of the world. They'll get their chance to be in charge of the world. It's not a fun place to be. They'll get plenty of chances.
Having worked for years in the area of marriage and family counseling with Sherry and I both, and talking about full-time and part-time, the key element for any successful family unit to allow the child to grow to the optimum is this line. So when we talked about rituals, it's very important that you, as a family unit, meaning husband and wife, have some kind of rituals in which you fill your wells, in which you can maintain this balance on this line. It allows the kids this sense of security, their self-esteem grows, and then you have normal learning taking place. Without that, we have problems.
We hope that viewing all or parts of this program, along with the use of the F.A.S.T booklet, will assist you to assist your children as we work cooperatively to prepare them for the 21st century.